High school Lincoln Douglas debate is most often defined as values debate, as debating with and about values. It's said that in contrast to other debate formats, which may focus more on public policy analysis or impromptu argumentation, that LD debate trains students to use the language and logic of values to make arguments about topics that are themselves propositions of value. That is a somewhat misleading definition of LD debate as it is practiced today, because many LD debaters spend hardly any time discussing values, or they refer to values in a perfunctory way, and even those debaters who focus on values tend to treat values as peripheral to their substantive arguments. Still, LD resolutions are value propositions. They are statements about whether a general moral principle is valid or invalid, not about whether this or that government agency or this or that international organization should enact some sort of policy to promote some sort of public policy outcome. So there is still, therefore, an expectation that LD debaters engage with values, even if that values engagement is not always clearly spelled out. Roughly speaking, a value is some sort of ethical norm, ideal, aspiration, or goal that guides one's thinking and one's decisions. If a person, for example, values peace or equality or freedom, that person conceives of their role in the world and makes judgments about what is right and what is wrong based on what that person thinks peace or equality or freedom demands of them. Those examples help illustrate an important feature of values, which is that values, almost by their very nature, are vague, general, difficult to define, difficult to measure, and therefore open to multiple and sometimes competing interpretations. For example, if you say that you value peace, world peace, what does that mean? Do you mean peace as in the absence of war between nation states, the absence of international violence? Or do you mean peace in a more positive sense, perhaps the existence of some state of tranquility or harmony between countries, or between or within individuals? Similarly, if you value equality, are you talking about equality of opportunity, equality of outcomes? And either way, how can you tell when such a state of equality has been attained? The vagueness, some would say the subjectivity of values, may help explain why a lot of debaters are reluctant to devote a lot of time to discussing values. But the main idea is that a value is supposed to provide a lens for looking at the world and a person's place in it, and to provide ways to translate abstract ethical thinking about what is right and wrong in a general sense into specific ethical decisions about what is right and wrong in this particular sense. In Lincoln-Douglas debate, the value that a debater defends, because each debater, one affirmative and one negative, picks a value to defend, organizes all the argumentation that follows. If the value is justice or morality, which are the two most common values in LD debate, the debater must then explain how the resolution advances or hinders the cause of justice or morality. Debaters can agree on one value or on one interpretation of a value, or they can argue for the primacy of one value over another, or for the primacy of one interpretation of a value over another interpretation of the same value. But however the values debate plays out, the values aspect is meant to be the distinguishing feature of Lincoln-Douglas debate. There is a place in LD debate for statistics, for public policy analysis, and for legal discussions, but all of that is meant to take place within the context of arguments that ultimately make recourse to the ethical hopes that are enshrined in values. That at least was the hope of the people who helped to create this debate format in the early 1980s, that it would help recover an ethics-based approach to argumentation, that it would help infuse argumentation with the rich ethical, moral discourse that it deserved. And even though LD debate has undergone many changes since the 1980s, we can still say today that LD debate, through values, attempts to reclaim ethics as the defining feature of argumentation.